Awesome.
All right. You were saying?
So yeah, I've been thinking about a lot of things. One just well, I wanted to find a new way to deal with my of course my mania and my um erratic emotions. I did find out, however, that I'm okay. Um Like, okay, so my emotions, my ADHD plays a big part in my emotions. Like with the because but it's not I don't take any narcotics for it. I just basically what I do is I take the Strattera. And reason being is Strattera is kind of like a homeopathic way to deal with it. It's a non-stimulant. So
Mm,
it basically like until I find the right product, the right CBD product, that will help a lot, or the right vitamin intake, like foods, things like that, that will help with that. I'm sticking with the Strattera for a little bit, but I did finally get a doctor's appointment. I got one on Tuesday. Um, so I can get, a full checkup again done and all that
oh,
stuff.
good, 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 good.
Um,
Very good.
But like there was a few days there where I was not sleeping very well because my mania just really like
Mm,
when I'm manic, of course I don't sleep.
mm,
Um and but the come down isn't as strong. And part of that's because I've kept myself preoccupied and busy, um, and kind of just let it ride its course. I refuse to take any sort of like mood stabilizers. And reason being is because my body doesn't handle them very well. So
mm.
it affects me in ways that are not the greatest. My blood sugars get out of whack, organs start malfunctioning, and I'm over that. So like I'm 110% over it.
Excellent.
Um, so I don't take any sort of mood stabilizers. Now, the only thing I do take that I do notice that helps right now currently like I said, until I do more research on what I can do to naturally help this, um, is I take the Strattera. And by taking the Strattera, it does help a lot with my thought process and slowing it down a little bit more.
Mm,
So I'm not thinking about 101 different things all at once. There's so much chaos and things going on in my head. Um, because it gets to a point like, and I do have to be more aware of,
exactly. Exactly.
and learning to be more aware of like my my thought processes,
Yes.
and what is not, what doesn't serve me and what is serving me. Does that
Exactly.
make sense? So, um,
All right.
and but I also have noticed, I think that I've noticed that I have not been on social media as much,
Mm,
and that does help with my moods.
mm.
And reason being is because there's so much negativity going on in social media based on the
Interesting.
LGBTQ plus,
Yeah.
LGBTQ aspect of things, the transgender aspect of things, the racial aspect of things, the religion aspect of things, the government aspect of things. There's just so much, like, there's so much negativity that stems from that. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, you can train your social media, by the way. Don't ever click on any of that negative stuff. Only click on the positive stuff, and after a while, you won't see it.
oh no,
Uh,
it's
yeah.
the people I follow and things like that, which I'm
That's
just
what I
like,
mean.
I'm
That's
over
what I
it.
mean. Yeah. Unfollow them and so on. Like I don't get any negative stuff in my feed. None.
Right. Well, and see, the thing is like of course, I'm part of the LGBTQIA
Yeah,
community, of course.
I mean, it's
So
hard to
like
unknow
that's
completely, but yeah,
that
you can
stuff,
still
yeah,
try.
that's
Yeah,
yeah, no, and I plan on, but I don't really find a whole lot of benefit right now from it, except for going
exactly.
into like the group and things like that. So I don't really see a huge need for
Yeah,
social media.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm not taking a full on hiatus from it, but I'm also
yeah.
not, um, I don't engage as much,
Uh,
um, with other things. I did make a post into, this, the group.
oh, good.
Um, actually really quick, I can pull it up. It was my way because of where I live, there's just a lot of noise.
Mm,
And so um it's kind of hard to feel to like there's a lot of outside noise, like traffic, things like that. And I don't I'm still new to the area, so I don't know exactly everywhere that has just
yeah,
people quiet. So I did write something, and it was
good,
just
good.
based on everybody that I've lost in my life that I've never really given myself a chance to like kind of mourn over or
Mm,
go through the grieving process
mm.
over. So it says, um, I'm sure you've heard me talk. I am sure you have heard me talk to you. Every day I do, asking you for advice, asking you for strength. I know you are still there. Even though I cannot see you, I can still feel your presence. I can still hear your voice. I can still feel the warmth of your loving embrace. So I know you are there because you always have been and you always will be. You always will be my beacon, my light on my darkest days when I remember back to our conversation and our in your silliness. You taught me that what it was like to be truly unconditionally loved with and without judgment. I hope I have made you proud. I hope I can continue to make you proud, or I continue to make you proud. I love you to the moon and back, but I know you already know that. You always will be locked in my heart and memories. Even though I had to say see you later, it's never a goodbye. You taught me that. It's a see you later.
There you go. There you go. You shared this in Sassy group?
Yes, I did.
When, today?
Yeah, this morning.
Oh, I was going to say, because I haven't seen it and I'm very diligent in checking all the posts. Okay, all right, then I'll see it because I want to add it to your guide. That's
This
really
is
cool. That's really, really cool. All
it's
right,
my
so
form of healing. Um,
what?
it's it's my form of healing.
Yes, yes, yes,
And and that's
yes,
what I did reiterate on this
yes.
therapist is that's how I heal when
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah,
a
yeah,
quiet place
yeah,
outside to go
yeah.
to.
All right, so
Um,
I also say two things real quick to add to your dictionary of power.
mhm,
Um, Anticipation and transition. Now, your post is, pretty much talking about that, except not saying it specifically. That, when we transition people, there's no need to grieve them or get over them, or they're not lost to us, etc. Right? They're simply
mhm,
transitioned. And once we have that concept very powerfully in our minds, we understand that it's a different relationship. That's it. You've
yep,
had a particular relationship and now it's transitioned to a different one. And that's all there is to it. And this is very, 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 very powerful. And to use that word also when speaking of people who have transitioned, it changes the way your brain understands it, processes it, relates to it, connects to it, etc. And that changes you, your moods, your emotions, everything. So it's ridiculously powerful. And with anticipation, and this is a skill that I cannot emphasize enough, right? Especially if we have some emotional variability. See it coming, see it coming, see it coming. So start developing that ability, that skill, that awareness, that particular attention to start looking ahead in every single thing you do, right?
Oh yeah.
My
And
example
that's
I
what I do
always
with
use
my
is when you,
emotion, like with my mood
yeah,
changes.
yeah, yeah,
And I do take the necessary steps. And that's why, like, even with transitioning from one mood to another too with me, it's a
there you
different, you
go.
know,
There you go. There
even
you
with
go.
that, I I do I anticipate what's going to happen next, and I know exactly what's going to happen next. And so
Uh,
what I do is I take the necessary steps, and sometimes yes, those steps take a little bit longer, but patience is always a huge deal when it comes to this
yes, yes,
um
yes,
because it's not going to happen overnight. The transition
yes,
is not going to happen overnight.
yes,
And
yes.
so um you know, you just take the necessary steps, and instead of like this time for me, instead of just allowing it to happen and saying, oh well, it's just my mania, I also
There you
take
go.
you know, the steps to say, okay, yes, this is what it is, and this is what I need to work on, and this is how I need to
Yes,
make it, you know, this is how I
yes,
can make it more, you know, go more smooth, go, you
yes,
know, easier.
yes,
Um, for me, that way the crash isn't so bad and the high isn't
yes,
so high.
yes.
Um, yeah, so I get all these like crazy ideas in my head that I can do a million and things at once. Yes. However, I do talk to myself, and I do also ask for, you know, thoughts on you know, if I'm unsure, then I will ask for thoughts, you know, of other
There
people,
you
and I
go.
kind of, you know, weigh it against, you know, what
There
my
you go.
past, you know, and
Pacing,
present and all that
pacing,
stuff.
pacing, in other words, your core term, pacing.
Yeah, mania doesn't allow me to pace, and I have to force it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If
Yep.
you start to deliberately institute pacing, it will change you. All right. So now I want to talk about a big topic here. Hmm.
What's that?
One moment. Let me just get there and get my coffee there safely without spilling it. Ah. Mm. Very good. Very good. It was a little full. Okay. So capital R, responsibility. You know, if you don't have that already in your dictionary of power, certainly add it in there.
Oh, it's always
Uh,
there.
yes, yes. So to really take this fully and say, never mind that I have mania, I have ADHD, I have all this stuff. I am starting to take responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility. I am taking responsibility. And from now on, it's all me. I am going
Mhm.
to operate under the premise that it is me and that I can change it. Right.
Oh,
So,
I know I
so,
can change it.
right. Exactly. Exactly. But I was going to say, though, whether or not this is true or not doesn't matter. It's to operate under that premise, right? To take it as a fact, right? And so now it's, if whatever it is, it's me. Okay, so that's the starting point. But I want to go into why I am absolutely keen for you to come and we start doing the program again as intended. Note well, as intended. Why? Because Way of Impeccability is a brain retraining program.
Hmm.
It's not about the concepts themselves that are the issue. It is the underlying mechanism through immersion into this. And that's when doing it as intended, there's going to be that immersion daily, every day, the repetition, the immersion, doing repeat backs, doing takeaways, doing the tasks and exercises, making the posts. All of those combined, this is going to take up a lot of time. It's going to really fill your life up. And that's the intent here. That's the design. Why?
Hmm.
Because that immersion is, of course, an emphasis. Your brain is emphasizing and doing this particular type of activity. The individual exercises, the individual, that doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's all immersing in an overall understanding of understanding. You immersing in responsibility. You immersing in doing and rethinking conceptions that change your life, right? So all of this is busy changing your brain. And that is what we after. That
Yes.
brain change via the immersion, via the intensity, via the attention on it, via the emphasis on it. But it needs to be sustained. It absolutely needs to be sustained. Plus, we haven't yet come to some key parts of the program, which for you are going to make a massive, massive, massive difference. So this is very, very important. Yeah, I appreciate that you've moved and all this, but now we got to say, it doesn't matter whatever's going on in your life. This is your priority right now, and I think your life, as you've got space for it right now in your life, no?
Um, yeah, I do currently because I have the
Yeah.
weekend jobs. Um, and then school's starting in August. So yeah, and the school's only at
So
night, so that's not during the
gotcha.
day.
So make space for it. Make
So I
this
will
your
have
job.
space. I
Yeah.
just gotta, I
Yeah.
just have to keep myself from trying to find a third job. Does that make sense?
It
So,
does make sense. No, but you've got a third job. You just got one right now.
well, I know, but a third paying job.
But this will pay off. This will pay off profoundly. This will
I
pay off
know.
profoundly. This will pay off profoundly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll just save on your meds. That's already a payment right there.
Well, I have to get stable on my meds. I don't have the appointment yet. I found more
Yeah,
Stratera in my
yeah.
items,
Well, you
but
eventually,
I
I
don't
don't mean
have
right
all my
now.
medication.
I mean
But
eventually, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is a very, very, very big deal. This immersion into it, it's really crucial because I saw what happened to you when you did immerse before. There was a radical shift in how you that variability and your ability to pace and manage yourself and all of this. But this is the thing that with this, that's why it's a long program. It does
Hmm.
need to be sustained. So again, it's not about sort of necessarily picking up where we left off, uh, but we want to do this so that it's the full immersion. Because also, if we don't sustain it all the way through, then there's not enough time for everything to connect with everything else, and so the brain is only partially there. See, so we want that full immersion and full connection. By the way,
Yes.
I didn't know this specifically. I mean, I knew this is a life change program. Obviously, that's what I called it, and a self change program. But I never targeted it specifically to deal with things like ADHD. But Erica has ADHD, and 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 her mom has it too, and they both did Wave Impeccability, and it profoundly helped them with their ADHD. And when we really got into this in detail, like with Erica, I said, but everything we're doing and have done is dealing directly with the ADHD.
So, but
Yes,
here's my
so
other question. Do they have the
listening.
equation of addiction issues?
Mm-mm.
That's that's
Not
where,
not
okay,
not
so
not not to substances. They might
yeah.
they
So
might have had addiction to other things,
that's where
psychological
I have
things. Yeah.
my
I
uh
appreciate that. I do. I do
yeah.
realize there's this physical component, and I'm not saying that's why I said, we'll treat it as if. I do realize that it's quite possible that you might need medication for the rest of your life. I'm
No,
fully
I
aware of
won't need
that.
medication for the rest of my life. What
Yeah.
I'm talking about is that since it's only been 3.5 years, my brain is still healing from all the substances I
Mm,
put into it.
mm,
And
mm.
so things are taking a
That's
little
what
bit
I mean.
longer, which
Right.
is the
I
pacing.
I I do
Um,
appreciate that. I do appreciate that with you, yeah, Jessica. I really do. I really do understand physical addiction and how it is. It is a very different deal, and it's not that it's one of the most difficult things that we can deal with. Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
it is,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
like uh I've really like, well, especially recently with, because when I hit that very high, I don't really like putting a label on it because the manic makes me feel like, oh, it's something
yeah,
I'm gonna have the
yeah,
rest of my life.
yeah,
So I don't really
yeah.
like that. Um, so like when I hit that really high, there also joins in with the aspect of, and I'm gonna actually not wrong one. I need what do I need? I need this. Maybe it'll pop up, maybe it won't. I'm going to get you on my computer that way I can.
Oh,
stop
good.
having my phone drop every single time I'm trying to
Oh, good,
talk.
good, good. So oh, you're just gonna leave on the phone then. You're not gonna put it
Not
back.
yet.
Right, right. But I mean, once you have
Yeah.
it up on the computer. Good, good, good,
Yeah.
good. Very good. Very good indeed. Very good. Very good. Very good. Excellent.
Okay. You need to stop popping up. I don't
Yeah,
want you
yeah.
popping up every.
The thing is why I'm really making this press on the immersion is because I have seen the difference. Yes.
Yeah. And
So
I
I
definitely
want to
appreciate
see that
that and
again.
understand
I
that.
want to see that again. Yeah. I know it's not been enough. And that's the thing, we have so much. We've got a lifetime of habits and thinking and things to shift. So it does require a lot. It does require a lot.
So let me look here. Oh yeah, most definitely. It does. It does require a lot. And that's one of the things I'm like, okay, so I got to remember to just really, because like I get this, those stupid shadow thoughts.
Yes,
They're dumb.
yes,
So in my
yes,
my
yes.
dumb shadow thoughts, I always like that thought process always comes to my head. Well, I need to do more. I'm not doing enough, and I need to
Yeah,
help
yeah, yeah,
financially. Blah blah blah. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
And so it gets to be absolutely ridiculous, and it's a constant battle. And there's days where I'm a
yes,
little more
yes.
weak-minded
Right. Now you
than
see it's all connected. You see how that's all
yeah,
connected because that comes from not feeling 100% self-confident, not having independence of being. That comes from having some neediness. That comes from inappropriate application of goodness, etc., etc., etc. Right? See? So
yes.
it all works together. It's not isolated, and that's what I'm trying to say. If we don't take care of all of the things, you've got one bad apple and it starts to corrupt the mind. Yeah. So
Yes.
this is a very, very, very powerful thing. That's why the dictionary of power is so crucial. Before we go further,
I gotta get my kid.
somebody joining. Who's
Yep, it's
joining?
me.
I'm getting all excited, but I am excited.
It's just me.
Well, I got two of you now. So, so you're
Okay, so
gonna
I'm
get ready to leave on the phone. So you're gonna get that
yep,
feedback otherwise.
yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Do I have his computer on?
There you go. There you go. Mute, unmute, ask to
Yep, there we
unmute.
go.
There we go. I love it. I love it. Oh, too brilliant.
Oh, it
So,
canceled.
I was going to say, one thing that's going to help you, talking about the things that you were doing, but ask yourself, make this a mantra, right? Well, when in doubt, zoom out. But when in doubt, zoom out, I find this is very useful. But what I do in my day, I say, what am I doing? Now, a lot of times that applies to I'm on the computer and I start chatting with somebody and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, all right. Okay. Right. So it can get down to very detailed specifics. But when you ask that question, ask it with a capital D, doing. What am I doing in my life? I am dealing with the issue of my death. I am making sure to develop and enhance my awareness. I am working on my awareness, discernment, and understanding. Yes. I am working on habit management. I'm working on mood management. I'm working on association management. I'm working on energy management. This is what I'm doing. I'm working on overview perspective. I'm working on not getting immersed. I'm working on anticipation. I'm working on pacing. I'm doing a hell of a lot of things. Yeah. I don't
Mhm.
have time for any crap. What am I doing? The moment you bring these big concept life doings into the picture, the nonsense falls away. How can you get all like, oh, I got to do this? In terms of like those petty things you were saying that you don't want to be bothered with, like the third job. Is that third job really important compared to your life? Compared to
No, it's my form of running. That's my
exactly,
awful truth.
exactly. So immerse in things that matter to you, right? So when you say, "What am I doing?" Oh, oh. Well, I'm doing Way of Impeccability. This is what I'm doing. This is going to change my life. Yes, I'm working on changing my brain through emphasis and immersion. I'm rewiring my brain. Say that day in, day out, so that the moment you have something that catches you, you change. All right. So I want to go to to Way of Impeccability because I was keen for you to do this kind of on your own. But where were we lost? Do you know?
I don't quite remember. I know it was like module two, maybe.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so okay, good then. Good, 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 good. By the way, I'm doing the lives during the week on the nobility program at let's see at 12 your time. No, what are you Central Time still? Yeah,
I'm
or
Central Time.
yeah, okay. So at 12 your time every day, right? So that's just more immersion. Yeah, I mean mainly we
Are
do
you back
doing
in like Pacific Time?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Because Arizona really it stays the same, but that means that we're now on Pacific. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't actually change, but all right.
Oh,
So I want to just do somewhat of a recap to see where we are at. Yeah. So
yes.
okay. Well, let me screen share here, and then we can look at this. All right. So module one is clarity of intent. So
Well,
maybe go. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I'm gonna go also like back in through and I'm more than likely gonna redo it all on, the rest of what we have done on my own again. Because I
Oh,
don't
good.
really think that
Okay.
my mind was in the right
Okay. Okay. Then we'll just start all
phase.
over again. Okay.
But
Okay.
so clarity of
Yeah.
intent, I
Yeah.
have a whole new intent.
Oh, good. Okay. 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 All right. Well, I tell you what, save it. Save this and write it out. And then next week we'll go through all of this. Yes. And as you
Yes.
go through, I don't know if you want to go through it step by step or just on the entirety of it. But save that. So let's do something else then. Let's do something else. Let's do something else. Let's start all over again at the way, way, way start. Let's start on the pre-program, right? How to take Wave Impeccability and Warner's project courses and programs. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's start right at the very
Uh,
start. Oh, by the
yeah,
way,
I think I allowed too much else get into the way and I wasn't
yeah,
focusing
yeah,
solely on me
yeah,
and
exactly, exactly. And that's the thing. What am I doing? Focusing on me.
yes.
Right? So start making notes of this under a special file called "What am I doing?" It's the same as the clarity of intent, right? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Have that be a mantra. It's going to come up later when we do the habit management session, and then you'll see how this really we're going to connect it to things. Very powerful point. All right, so learning how to learn is the crux of learning. That's what we're going to do also. Learn how to learn, right? So we've got an introduction here. The following details what's required for the taking and doing of Way of Impeccability. Any of the Mourner's programs, Mourner's project programs, or any of the other courses, and to be gone through thoroughly before starting your course or program. There's a lot to it. So come on Zoom and to discuss it as you go through it all. And you are here now. Applying as you go, setting up the basic premises for the entirety of the life change and self change, which is the intent of any of our courses and programs, is most critical. Right? Setting up the basic premises. That's what I want to really go through these basic premises. Not a journey that can be undertaken without thorough and careful preparation. The following fundamentals are most critical and a massive part of what makes these programs and courses so transformative and powerful. So now I'm going to go right back to, we're going to go through this in detail. And what I'm keen to do is two things before we start, right? Well, I guess that it's about pacing. So understand that we are going to be going through this slowly and thoroughly, and there's no time on how long it's going to take, right? It will take as long as is appropriate, right? So there's no rushing through this. And then secondly, to understand when you said patience, that there's to me, patience comes with a few friends, right? There's four of them: patience, discipline, forbearance, and timing. You say, whoa, 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 whoa. Patience, discipline, forbearance. Yeah, those I get. Now, how the hell does timing fit into there? Yeah, because
because
oh,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh no, go ahead.
Um, the way I see it is timing fits into it because there's a time for a time for everything, honestly.
Yeah,
Or to
yeah,
be truth, I mean, not honestly. There is a timing for everything, and the and if you're not, but sometimes you have to make that time, not
exactly,
just wait
exactly,
for that timing. Um,
exactly. And how do you make it? With those first three:
yeah.
with
Oh, that's
patience,
not my issue.
with
That's not my issue.
discipline, and with forbearance. So the application of those three will create timing, or will create an environment and a mindset where when timing comes, you'll see it. You'll
There's
notice it. You'll be aware of it, right? So ask Sher on this exact point. Ask her, right? Sher has absolutely seen this with CJ. It's not there yet, but the corner has been turned with CJ. The corner has been turned, right? It's come, right? Like in that dream changed him profoundly, right? So,
I
so
don't know. I don't hear much about him right now.
oh, okay. Well, he just had a dream about death stuff, and he realized that he's a jackass, and essentially it's starting, right? So, um, his dream affected him. Anyway, so it's getting there. It's getting there, and he profoundly apologized to Sher in a very sincere way, which was, that's a big shift there. I mean, he's still got lots of apologizing to do, but still, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So my point is that it's for sure, though, she was feeling a bit hopeless at one point. Yes, you remember?
Yep. Yeah, I
But she stuck
remember.
it out. But she stuck it out. She did not give up, right? She did not give up. And this was the big deal, right? So she had that's the forbearance part. Yeah. I mean, the discipline is you do the things that you need to do. She was very disciplined, staying tight, all of that stuff. But at the same time, you've got to stay there, and you've got to stick it out sometimes. With And that's forbearance. When it's not going the way you'd like it to go, it just sucks, and you just got to endure it, and you just got to keep going. Right? That's forbearance. Yes.
Mhm.
So this is the issue. This is the big issue. It's very, very powerful. So those things will create the timing. And then when we know this, then we can pace appropriately because we know the pacing is out of our hands. Things are going to come when they're going to come. We have to have the patience and the discipline and the forbearance to be able to be there when things come. Yes.
Mhm.
Because if we're not there, then you can't take advantage of the timing. Yeah. You got to be in
Yes.
the game, as it were, right? Okay. All right. So this is very, very cool. So that's what we're going to kind of focus on, as this as our underlying theme. What am I doing? I'm being patient, I'm being disciplined, and I'm being forbearing if need be. Yes. Now, forbearance for most people doesn't come into it. The patience and the discipline is more than enough, right? But
Mhm.
with the addiction, it requires forbearance to deal with.
It requires a large amount of forbearance to deal with because
Exactly.
there's plenty of times
Exactly.
where I've had to go through that whole
Exactly.
forbearance stage of,
Exactly.
okay, I've got to wait this out.
Exactly.
It's not
Exactly.
as bad as my brain is perceiving it to be,
Exactly. Exactly.
or is that I am perceiving it, in other words, in that
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes. Okay.
and
So
so yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I would recommend I don't know if you have that luxury in where you live to put things up on the wall. If you can do this or
Not
not.
here.
Oh, in your bedroom? No?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well, something like, just things that are really crucial to you to remember. Well, anticipation and pacing, very crucial. But also, I am not my brain. I am not my emotions. Just those two would be very profound for you, right? So in those times when you are getting stuck and sinking in, you see this? Oh, yeah, you're right. You know what? I'm not my brain. My thoughts are not me. My feelings are not me, right? At
Hmm.
some point, I'm going to choose those deliberately, and then they'll be me. But until that time, they're not me. They're the product of my culture, my conditioning, my associations, my habits, my inadvertent accumulations of crap, right? So this is very, very important to be aware of, that you are more than what you are thinking and feeling now. Why? Because they're not chosen and deliberate. Yes?
Hmm.
So how could you claim them as yours? You can't really. Yes, my mind and my thinking and my feelings affect me. You can't say, well, they don't affect me. They affect you. But
Oh,
that's the
no, they
point,
do.
though, is to be aware that because they affect you, that doesn't mean you have to identify with them. Yeah, you have to say, what is it that I can identify with? That which is deliberate. Yes. So
Yes,
deliberate living, and you do know about deliberate living. This is
I
an
do.
important issue for you. Yes.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm listening.
So with apparently okay. So with patience and okay, so I put patience plus discipline plus variance equals timing because with that the
Yeah.
timing will happen.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
I
They,
don't
they,
know why I put it into equation, but I did.
Yeah, that's fine. That works. I mean, because that's sort of how it does work. The accumulation of those, they put you into the space where you can see and notice and be aware of, and sooner or later the timing comes. Now, of course, it goes a little deeper than that, because when you are being patient and you are being disciplined and you are forbearing, you are doing so for a particular reason. Correct?
Yes, you have to have the intent with it.
Precisely, it is the intent which creates the timing.
Yes.
Yes. Those are leveraging mechanisms to leverage your intent, right? So you just set the intent and then, whatever. Well, we
No,
need a bit of energy and motivation to make that work. So when I'm being patient, I'm saying, look, my intent, this is for real intent, because I have lots of intents and a lot of them are bogus bullshit intents, right? And I don't really want to come true. But this one, I really do want to come true because look, I'm being patient. Look, I'm being disciplined to have this happen. Look, I'm even paying this price here. I'm forbearing, and see, I'm serious about this. Really, really serious, right? So that is a very, very important aspect of all of this, right? So that we can call it intent leveraging as very, very, very important. Yeah, very.
yes.
Very important. So, because intent takes energy, and we have so many intents, especially if we've got busy minds for whatever reason. We got all sorts of stuff popping out there, and your sort of intent self, if you want to call it this, says, yeah, but which of these actually are for real? Yeah, it's hard to
Hmm.
say. So that's important. So these are intent leveraging mechanisms, and that is a very big deal. Yes. Very, very big deal. Very big deal. All right. So now I want to go through this with these understandings in mind. And also we are starting with clarity of intent. And you wanted to go over that because you say they've changed. So I'm going to use this start of the program here, and we'll get to it in a moment, the promises part. And I want you to, as we go through them, when you get, yeah, that's for me, right? So kind of listen to them with sort of like not necessarily with full immersion. You're almost pulling back a little bit, like kind of listening, and you're listening to see what penetrates and resonates, and that grabs you. Oh, that wakes you up, and oh yeah, that one, that's me, that's for me, right? So the program and courses make many promises. It's not exaggeration or hyperbole, but what happens if you do the programs and courses as intended. Thank you. That's crucial, most crucial. There's much and incredible depth and sophistication to how you are asked to do the programs and courses. As we go along, that underlying moreness will be explained, revealed, and come clear. It's way, way, way too much to share now, and that's a large, extensive program all by itself. For now, we ask you to trust and we ask your trust and commitment to do the programs and courses as intended. The promises promised are many, yes. However, on going through them, you'll come to see the moreness included, and the promises are in a way self-proving as they show the depth involved and thereby illustrate the underlying sophistication. As you go through what's promised to you, please make a note of what deeply connects and resonates. It's vitally important. So I was saying it in that particular way here, to do it in that, like when you sort of you I don't know, you maybe doing, you got music playing in the background and you're not specifically focusing, but then a song comes on that and then you notice it, right? So you
Hmm.
kind of like zoom out a little bit and you set your brain specifically to see what penetrates and resonates and connects and jumps in there. All right. So 1 second, let me just take care of something here. Okay. What's going on?
I have another question.
Oh, I'm listening.
So, so a lot of times when somebody does something, they apologize about it. I'm like, oh no, you're okay. In other words,
Yeah.
meaning I'm not bothered by it. It does, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
When they say, when I say, oh no, you're okay, and they say, well, no, I'm not. I don't have anything else to say about that because it's like, that's not what I meant. But I
Uh,
don't know how to get them to understand that. It's because I'm saying that because I'm not bothered by it.
uh,
Like there's a lot of things that I don't get bothered by. You
yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I just
Yeah.
like,
Well, just
okay,
just tell them that. Say, I'm not bothered by the usual things that people are, and it's very different for me. Or, I don't know, just how it is, and that doesn't bother me. So no worries.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it just would frustrate me when people are like, well, no, I'm not. And I'm like,
Uh,
okay, well, that's not what I was getting at. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not going to get into deep and delve into, well, it's not my place to get into and deep and delve into your mind right now to figure out or help you figure out or assist you or give you whatever as to what's going on with you and why you're not okay. Like that's not my top priority right now is that I'm just living my best, the best of my own life. And I'm
Yeah.
not bothered by the what you say or do or any of that. Like it does not, I'm not, there's no point in apologizing. Um, I used to tell people, well, if you're apologizing, you're apologizing for being yourself, and you should never uh, apologize
Right.
for being
Exactly.
yourself, or being who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that just
Exactly.
got way too long to say. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm
Yeah.
not bothered by it. But I always say like, oh, you're okay, or you're fine, or you're good,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
just say it doesn't bother me. No worries.
okay,
Well, I'm not bothered by it. It's all good. Because when you say you're okay, I know what you mean, but I don't think others are necessarily taking it that way.
no, 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 I don't think they do. And they're taking
Yeah,
it a completely way left field level. And I'm like, that's
yeah,
not what I was talking about, but okay.
right, right,
I usually don't
right.
elaborate. I'm like, okay. And that's because, like, I'm not trying to be rude or mean about it, but I also know the difference between somebody who's willing to, like, through my time of, my knowledge base and things like that, and my experiences with other people, I've been able to tell the difference between somebody who truly wants to help and somebody who just is saying it and not really wanting it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they don't want to put forth the work that's gonna entail to do
yeah,
it. So I know when to back off and what is worth my energy and what's not worth my energy. Um, I'm learning more and more of that, like as to when it comes to my interactions with people, or just anything in general, like society or whatever, and what's worth putting my energy into and what's not.
yeah,
That
yeah,
energy
yeah, yeah,
management has really that whole ordeal of working through that and understanding it and
yeah,
everything, like that really
yeah.
has helped me a lot in understanding like what is worth putting my energy into and what isn't.
Exactly. Effort versus reward.
Yeah,
Absolutely crucial. Crucial in all of our activities. Absolutely.
yes. And
Absolutely.
so that's really helped a lot in knowing like, okay. But there are some people that I try to stay away from as much as possible, and that's because they're a ball of negative energy, and I just don't want to deal with that because
Absolutely. That's part of our strategy. You got to stay away
it's like
from
a
crap.
virus that will
Right.
like
Right. Black
literally dampen
holes.
your day.
Black holes. Right.
Yes.
That's it. There's no helping a black hole. Any energy you give it, it feeds, uses that energy to become a bigger black hole.
Oh yeah.
The more you love a black hole, the more you make it bigger. So, what are you going to do? The only thing you can do is stay the fuck away from it, right?
Hmm.
That's it. And you got to stay far, far away from it. It's got a big influence, right? So there's no remedy for black holes except to starve them. Once this black hole is starved and it collapses and implodes, then it transforms into a white hole and then it starts all over again. And then you can start dealing with it. But as a black hole, no, sorry,
Oh
not
yeah,
not
and
possible.
some people
Right.
are okay with that, just like what Vina had said. Some
Yeah,
people are just completely okay with
yeah,
and being that way. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
why was like I remember I was, but I still have a
yeah,
hard time like now I have a harder time understanding why it was.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't even try now. I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, I was that one person at one point in time in my life for a hot minute, but now I'm not that way. Like I don't particularly enjoy having the chaos in my brain. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I
Exactly,
just don't particularly
exactly,
enjoy that.
exactly. It's a little quote here. Yes, and those lessons are so fun and exciting once we embrace them fully. I see the end point of our lessons as learning how to play in everything we do. Once we know how to play with the fullness of ourselves, how to set up play, how to create play, to always be in play, then I believe we'll be ready for the next stage of our lives. So
That
this
sounds
is
like
what we
something
are doing.
Cher would say.
Yeah, that may be. I don't remember where this quote came from. It may be a Biella quote, but either way, it's
Yeah,
very
I
powerful.
will.
So we want
Her
that,
learning
right?
how to play and her learning how to and be
Yeah,
comfortable
yeah,
with playing.
yeah. There is one thing with her that's truly is exceptional, and that's her innate joy. She has
Yes.
a deep innate joy. When you look at her and you see past the stuff that's going on, there's always that readiness for joy. And it's a very profound thing. And it's one of the absolute core points and purposes and intents of wave impeccability to get to joy. All right, so we're going to go through these course taking essentials, the promises, right? And so I'm going to read through them, and you just get on that half hearing, and when something grabs you, you jump in and you say yes, and write it down. Right? Peace of being, peace of being. And not independence of being. Yes, independence of being will come later, but peace of being. Yes, like Bina. You can see Bina as peace of being. Sure is starting to acquire peace of being. Yes, she's very close to it. Not there exactly yet, but it's coming close. Meaning, purpose, and significance, also known as MPS, which can also stand for magic per second, right? Or moreness per second. Yeah? Just cool. I love this MPS. It's very cool for me. You will be changed. Yes, absolutely. You will be. And you know this. You know this. Developing your ability to better deal with intense, overwhelming situations in personal, professional, and everyday life and changing them into positive happenings in your favor. It's not just dealing with crappy people, negative people. It's learning to turn them into positive happenings in your favor. Yeah.
Hmm.
This is a very, very powerful thing to shift that. That's happened for sure. She's come to do this in her life, and it's really helpful, right? Deliberate living. This is crucial. This is crucial. Otherwise, we are victims to all that crap that goes on inside us, in our minds, and in our emotions. That's not us. Yes. So deliberate living, very, very key. To become your own guru, life coach, etc., by developing skills of understanding what was not obvious before and self creating what was not available before. And self creating what was not available before. Right?
Yeah, that one already stuck out with me.
Yeah, this is really key. So it's a door to more. Absolutely. Absolutely. This we are going to realize and become more acutely aware of how much more there is. To learn to leverage yourself, capital L leverage, to leverage yourself and your life to access more than usual. And that's what's missing a little bit for you right now. You are aware that you can leverage and you do sometimes, but to really do so even more, to access your moreness and access moreness of awareness, of understanding of different perspectives, different moods, etc. Right? So this is going to be really huge. You are being leveraged by habitual things, past things, and major events in your life, like the addiction, right? That addiction still has a powerful leverage on you sometimes. Yes, same with the manic
It
things and all this,
does.
right? So they leveraging you, but you're going to say, well, wait the fuck a second. I want to leverage myself. Thank you very much, right? I am not my mind. I am not my emotions. Just because I feel it
And
doesn't mean it comes from me.
the more I think about it too, the more like when I deal with things like my um like the mania and the depression, like that part of it. The thought process that comes in, like, you know, just like the thought process comes into my head is like, is the associations with past experiences with like associations and past experiences with others where things like that happened and it was instantaneously like, well, do you need to be locked up? Do you need to go? Basically, not locked up, but do you need to go to the mental institution? Do you need to have essentially what I call a groupie sock vacation? Um, and it's just my way of trying to make light of it because those situations were very traumatic in my life. And
Mm.
whereas like one thing I noticed recently that I've been stuck on is um the aspect of like when I was younger, my cries for help were not ever heard. They were just they it was just instant. Like, and I think it really, really hit home when it came to CJ. And reason
Uh,
being is because it was like a trigger moment for me because it was like my instant thought process and I triggered myself, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
my thought process, because in the beginning, my thought process is, well, he needs to go to the mental institution. Hi, Bina. Or
Not,
he
it's not
needs to
connected
go
yet.
somewhere to get more help.
There
And
we are. Now you can say hi, Bina.
hi, Bina.
Hello.
And
Keep
so,
going.
like, that was the exact same thing my mom did. That's the
Yeah,
exact same thing the state did. That's the
yeah,
exact same, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah,
like, I was like, I triggered myself in those memories. And I know I did it. That's me taking capital R responsibility for it because
yeah,
of my I they were that was a belief system that was instilled in me, that was instilled in my mom, and I didn't realize it was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly, exactly. That's
now,
where
like,
awareness comes in. See, that's why I'm saying to be aware that when I say it's not my thinking is not mine. Yeah,
yeah, and that's what, like, besides, like, I remember I kept telling her, well, he needs to go there, he needs to go this place, he needs to go. No, he
yeah,
does not.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And because he's crying out for help. This is his way of saying, I'm not right and there's something not okay and I need help. That doesn't mean lock me away. And I think that's my long time fear. It can, I mean, yes, yes, fear. Oh my gosh, I just said that. But and the reason being is because that's something I do need to work on. And I'm saying that as like a kind of a marker as to, yep, that is not something that I need to be afraid of. Um, because like in my and then past relationships when I've dealt with it and like feeling like I'm not my own shadow thoughts, me allowing them to creep in and listening to them and saying, I'm not good enough right now because I'm not pulling in money, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, but I'm not looking at what I am doing. I'm not looking at what I am doing to help myself. And that's where my downfall happens is when I'm really not, when I stop focusing on what I am doing and start focusing on what I'm not doing.
Yeah. Very
Does that
important.
make
Very
sense? So
important.
like that
Oh
really
yeah.
kind
Oh
of
yeah.
like all of this like really kind of just hit with me when you were, um, the leveraging. I was using the leveraging for the all the things I don't need to be.
Yes. Yes. All right. So we come to a profound habit, and that is the habit of identifying the problem and get out of that habit. That's it.
Thank you.
That's it. That's it. We don't care why it's a problem. We don't care. What we care about is the replacement.
It
Yes?
see, and that's another societal belief, honestly,
Yes,
because
exactly.
whenever you go
Exactly.
see a doctor or whenever you go, why is this a problem? What's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on?
exactly. But no, in this particular instance, this is what we focused on here now. Right. So Bina, please jump in anytime. Please jump in. Hello, Bina. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're here, Bina. I'm glad you're here. Right.
Me
So we're
too.
going
Because then
through
I could,
these
yes.
promises as to what grabs you. Right now, look at this by way of all of these. They are all replacements. Look at the next one.
Mhm.
To be your own mood generator by acquiring skills to not only manage your mood, not only to manage your mood, but also to be able to create a mood of your own choice. Yeah. Not fixing the moods that you didn't choose in the first place. What's the point in that?
It'll all drive you mad.
Exactly. Exactly. Acquiring energy management as energy is everything. All right.
Well, I
All
learned
right.
the energy management part, so and I'm
Yes.
working
Oh,
on that still. Wait, what?
no, I just clicked on the wrong thing there. Sorry. So
Oh no, you're fine.
there you go. Let me make this full screen. Let me make this full screen. How are you, Bina? By the way, how are you? How are you? How are you? You good, Bina?
Good. It's still this ache is a bit problematic, so that's
Oh,
why it's a stress. But it is
oh,
gradually it is getting better.
oh,
Definitely, I
good.
cannot
Oh,
say that
good.
okay, it is not
Oh,
getting
good.
better.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good.
Sometimes when I eat something or chew something
Yeah.
carelessly, then
Yeah.
it gives a
Yeah.
bit more stress.
Why?
Otherwise, it
Why?
is
Why?
healing.
Why? Why?
So
Why?
yes.
Why? So, Bina, one thing that I truly admire, appreciate, and enjoy thoroughly with Bina is that Bina is willing to ask, to really ask, in the sense of like she's almost like like greedily leveraging and exploiting this resource that she has at her disposal, to ask really intensely as to what is the replacement, not what's the problem, right? What can I do to that add to me? What can I learn new? Right, Vina?
Yes.
It's your core underlying, yes? When you say
How do
power
you
learning,
go find a replacement without knowing the problem?
Okay, so
does it
we all are
matter?
aware of the problem. Yes, okay. We cannot just be like, okay, oh, sometimes we are not able to communicate it. That this
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing. But we are aware of the problem. Even if it is just like that, okay, I'm not feeling right. No matter I don't know the details or not. but somehow, at least on the minimum level, I can say that, okay, I'm not feeling right. No, this is not good. I don't know what is actually wrong.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But if I am not feeling good, I'm not feeling myself in any situation, it means that something is not appropriate right now for me. I'm not saying good, bad, right, wrong, nothing. But just right now, if I'm not feeling myself, I'm feeling stress, I'm feeling drained, I'm feeling really pushed towards something. These type of situation mostly happens when we are not exactly aware that, okay, what is the problem? But if I'm not feeling myself, if I'm feeling drained, it means there is something not right, not going absolutely okay for me. So it means that there is a problem. And what can be the replacement if we are not completely aware of the problem? The first thing for me, disconnect. I need to disconnect from that particular energy which is restraining me. I need to zoom out. Absolutely. This is the, for me, it works 100% all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not able to, like, exactly like doing that. Someone else comes in and they say, no, just zoom out. Okay, just
Yeah.
disconnect yourself, detach yourself from these things. So
Yeah.
sometimes what happens is my expectations, because in my relationships with my family, with other people, expectations creates a problem. Sometimes assumptions create a problem. Sometimes sometimes of course other people are not in that particular energy which I really want, okay, or needed, then it creates a problem. But again, it is coming to my responsibility. If they are not doing anything, or they are not being um, impeccable, if we can say that, in any situation,
Yeah. Yeah.
my responsibility towards me is to disconnect. First thing, disconnected
Yes.
doesn't mean that
Step
okay, I'm
away.
just
Step
going to
away.
abandon them. No, but I just need
Yeah.
to disconnect from that situation. That no,
Yeah.
I need to protect myself first. I'm responsible for myself. I have this responsibility to love and care and support and protect myself first. So I'm going to disconnect. Also, I'm not going
So
to emotionally triggered by any situation and make any improper or emotionally driven decisions.
Bina,
So, yes.
Bina, what do you mean by disconnect? I think that's what Jessica wants to
Okay.
ask.
no, no,
Yes.
no, no.
No, no. Oh,
I
oh.
know what disconnecting means because that's what I was going to ask though. So that's what I did essentially with CJ was I
Mm,
disconnected
mm,
because it was too
yes.
much.
Yes. Very strategic. Very strategic. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And that's why, like, that's why also I told you is I don't hear a whole lot about him. His reason being is because I'm still, I'm working on that healing aspect of that. Of a lot of there's just a lot of trauma that's associated with him. So I'm working on all of that too. Um, but so like the zooming out, okay, so I'm going to put out a scenario and I'm going to kind of ask like maybe I'll answer my own question. And so like
Yes, always.
when it comes to there has been nights this past week where I literally have not been sleeping well. Like I don't sleep during the day, I don't
Yeah.
sleep at
Yeah.
night. I would go to bed at like, say 8 o'clock and would wake up at like 11:30 at night, stay and not be able to get back to sleep. Um, and then or wake up at midnight and not be able to get back to sleep, and I would be up until 8 o'clock that same day or the next day.
Mhm.
um that's where I talk about with my mania, but because it really messes with my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
um so my problem then would be like, and I had to figure it out. I had to figure, okay, what is going on, because I wasn't fully aware as to like everything exactly right away as to what was going on. But I had to think back about, okay, so what the zooming out, in other words, figuring out like what all is going on in my life right now that I'm
Mhm.
either stressed about or that, because my mind would race so much about so many different things and all these like emotions. Like I was an emotional mess. Like there were so many
Mhm.
emotions that were going through me. Um, and so rapidly too. And that's the thing that I hate the most, is that it like rapidly cycles. My responsibility in that would be to just completely shift, and that's what I started to do, which I started to just be outside and just chill. There's a gated, like a privacy fence backyard, and I would just sit out in the sun and just enjoy like the sunshine beating down on me and things like that. And I noticed that there was a difference in change. So like zooming out, in other words, not fully finding the problem, but also knowing that there's multiple things that entail with it, and that was causing my own inner feeling unsettled,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was feeling extremely unsettled, and
Yeah.
so many things. And so like that was how I zoomed out, was I just kind of like thought back and be like, okay, what is all going on, and what is going on in my head, and what's going on in my life? Who am I associating myself with, and who do I need to stop associating myself with, as
Hmm.
well as what why am I not feeling, and it was the why, as to why I'm not feeling like myself. And
Hmm.
it what really helped me in that, I guess, in that sense of knowing that I didn't fully get down to the exact reason why, because there's multiple reasons why.
Hmm.
And I don't need to have, and I know I don't need to have the exact reason why, because honestly, if I try to find the exact reason why and get like all the way I'd drive myself absolutely batty. Um, but I did, like, I don't know if that's what I was doing though. It sounds kind of like it, but I don't know if exactly what that's
Yes.
exactly what I was
Yes.
doing. Was I did make sure that I found something to help me feel okay, to help
Mhm.
me feel like I put on music, listened to music, laid out in the sun, um, and started drinking more water,
Yeah.
and it not staying inside all the time, um, and actually like doing things and
Yeah.
being proactive.
Hmm.
Productive as well is a big thing
Yes.
for me too, because if I'm
Yes.
stagnant, that does not serve me well. um so that's I guess where I'm at with it
Hmm.
at this point in time. I don't
Okay.
know if
This
that
is
makes any
for
sense.
me. Yes, all these things works, but the first and the most crucial one is to taking my power back in any situation, which is not reacting. Because for me, when we react, we actually allow other people or any situation or perspective to take our power. That, okay, I'm not empowered enough anymore, so whatever you are cueing, I'm just going to follow and I'm going to react. So this is the most difficult thing for me, to not react and just take my power back in any situation. This is the ultimate thing for me for the
Yeah.
disconnect. I was saying that okay, when we have to disconnect, I don't mean to abandon the situation, but actually just disconnecting from myself, from following the queuing of situation and people. I'm not going to react. That is something I'm going to respond. Of course, not reacting. If you want me to behave in a certain way or say something or do something, no, this is actually giving up my power. I'm going to do whatever I really want to. This makes me feel empowered and good right there. Of course, it is very difficult. It is
Mm.
super difficult because we all have our own thinking also, like, okay, how dare you said this word? How dare you did this or
Oh,
that?
I
Blah,
so
blah, blah.
wanted to react, like I think it was Saturday, to a
Yes.
customer. I was bartending, and
Mhm.
he would not relent on asking me for my number. Like he kept asking me.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, just let it go. Like I'm not giving you my number. Like, and he's like, well, he goes, deep down, I know you're gonna get bored with your partner, and you're gonna wanna have me in your corner. And I said, I'm not gonna get bored with my partner. You can't get bored with somebody you're in love with. Like, what? um, but
Yeah.
it was one of those things, and he kept trying to convince me to give him his number, or give him my number, and I'm like, I'm not giving you
Yeah.
my number, and I'm not taking yours. And so I finally was like, I kept telling him I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I really, and men are my definite, like, I feel like sometimes I tend to feel a little powerless compared to them just because of what I've been through. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I instead was like, I've got like I did react a little bit. I did let him know that um that if he it wasn't aware he's going to be now, that um I recently got off probation for trying to kill a dude that tried to do the same thing last time.
yeah.
And I was like, and they were I was like, yeah, but I said it wasn't with a gun. I don't like guns. I like knives, and they're very. And I really reacted in a very crazy way. Like I just looked at him and like kind of gave him a crazy eye a little bit, and I said, I said, but knives, they're so much more intimate and they're so personal, and the feeling of it going through the flesh, and all that. Like he was like, okay, now you're turning me off. I said, good. Now can I help the next customer?
Very good. Very good.
But it was like
Strategy.
no
Strategy.
matter what I did, he would not, or said he would not relent.
Yeah,
Like he would not
yeah,
stop. So I finally was like,
yeah.
enough is enough. I'm just going to do this now because I know this will actually turn you away from me.
Good,
Mm.
good.
And he goes,
Strategy. See,
well,
that's what you use. You use strategy. Be aware of this. Be aware of this.
and
Yeah,
I felt good about myself for saying
yeah,
that,
yeah.
or, for being able to deter him because he's like, well, now I'm turned off. And I said, good,
Good. Very good. Yes, that was awesome. That was
because I'm
excellent.
not
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah. Sometimes being crazy is very appropriate. But again, doing so deliberately. You were in charge, right? You were in
Exactly.
charge.
I was, and so that's where like I had to. And then, um, it's just like one of those things. I'm learning that even if I'm not in the right headspace, or no, okay, not right, appropriate. Let's go with that word because
There
that's
you
a
go.
better word.
Much better.
When
Much
I'm
better.
not in
Yes.
an appropriate headspace, I do tend to react instead of respond.
That's where the anticipation is coming in, you see, and the
Yes.
zooming out. What am I doing? What am I doing? Am I reacting or am I being deliberate?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And
This is what I was thinking that sorry to interrupt you, Jessica, but it was like when we hear this term zooming out, immediately the idea came in like, okay, we have to think in a bigger picture on an abstract level, not necessarily all the time, but sometimes we just need to take, okay, not going to react first thing, taking a power pause, second thing, and the
Yeah.
third thing is that I'm going to now, because my emotions and everything just calm down a bit. Now I'm going to see those situations, of course, interact again, but with not those intense, emotional, really driven thing and behavior.
Yeah.
So this is also zooming out. Not necessarily we have to look the bigger picture all the time. We can be still in the local situation, in localized conversation, but we can just first just stop reacting, second take a power pause and deliberately saying that, okay, I'm going to take a power pause, and the third thing is that, okay, now I can see because my emotions already down now. I'm not just carried away by the heat of the moment and situation and emotions. So this is also zooming out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important. Jessica, you asked a big question. You asked, how do you deal with something if you don't know what the problem is? Well, that's where replacement comes in. It takes care of the problems automatically. For instance, if you teach to be
yes.
kind, courteous, considerate, and generous and caring, how do you go around stealing and abusing? You can't. See, so it takes care of those things automatically. When you really have the positive character qualities that we are working on, they take care of all the nonsense automatically. Now, there may be instances, but if we focus on the replacement, when we really do need to go into something, we can do so, but not as the all, but as a touch, as a light touch. And that's what we want, that light touch. Yes. Not
Yes.
not to get sucked into the problem, but to deal from it from the position where you've already got the replacements entrenched, and now you can deal with it and it doesn't overwhelm. That's very important. Yeah,
Yes.
makes sense.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is I know that also lack of sleep does affect a lot too, as well as also I got off course with my eating habits and eating healthy and actually eating 3 times a day instead of just eating 1 time a day because I get hangry. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
um, and so I really did. I got off course with all of that, and I didn't drink near as much water as I used to be, was for a hot minute there too. And so I was
Mm,
always like, I was always putting junk inside my body, and that really affects my mood a lot. And I noticed that. Um, so those are the difference, like the different things that I have chosen to do, um, to help me help myself, and listening to more, I guess, upbeat music,
good,
things
good,
that
good.
make me feel good,
Yes,
because
yes,
music for me is a
yes.
huge thing. The
Oh yeah,
wavelengths, everything is just, it's really big.
oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
and I remember last time I spoke, especially I think it was with you as well as also, you and Vienna as well as with Cher. And we were talking about how like um I was having an issue with just finding my place here. And I don't need to find my place here.
Yes,
I need to be my
exactly.
place here.
Exactly. 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 Yes.
That's what I was like at
Yeah.
first. I was like
Yeah.
struggling with that, and I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about it. I'm like, why am I sitting here trying to find my place when finding my place is really not the appropriate thing to do? It's being my own place.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
just embracing myself, and that's me, and unapologetically, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay to be my goofy self. I'm okay with being, my energetic self, or my, caring, compassionate self, as long as it's done in an appropriate form and not giving too much. Um, and reason why I say that is because I'll give I'll put all of my energy into one person or one thing, and I forget about myself, or I forget about everything else that needs my attention as well. And that also is where like that whole like, well, I did all for, but at what cost? Well, that's because I wasn't focusing also on myself. I was focusing solely on other people and what their needs were, and working on to meet their needs instead of working on also to meet my needs. And I didn't have that balance, and I lost that balance because I was too focused on other things. And so like the more like I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of back and forth, a lot of, this and that. And there are
Hmm.
things that I realize that like the zooming out, I now am seeing that it isn't just zooming out on a situation, but zooming out on myself too, and what is going to help me regardless. Okay, so now I get it. I'm getting it. I'm putting it together in my brain. So I'm starting to get it. Um, is it's not just zooming out on the situation or anything like that. And I don't need to find the reason why. I just need to figure out a way to get myself back to where I need to be.
Yes, and that's through immersion. That's how.
Yes.
That's going to be the way to change those default habits. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
default beliefs too, that because I have
Exactly. Habits
these
of
extra
believing. Right.
issues does not mean that,
Yeah. Yeah.
or obstacles, that doesn't mean that I am defective.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
personally feel that sometimes, of course, not always, because okay, it depends on situation. Sometimes when in sales world, that taking complete ownership of our deliberate decisions, and reminding ourselves
Yes.
that the decision I have made was my decision, and I'm completely owning it. It's a big deal, because whenever we make some decision, and of course it doesn't turn out in a way when people are or situations are not really um, helpful or pleasant for us, and then we feel that okay, where I just put myself in, like what situation is this now, um, then reminding ourselves that I made this decision for what and how, and actually who made this decision. I was the one who made that. What I was thinking at that time, what I was feeling at that time, reminding ourselves is a big deal because it helps a lot to really completely taking the full ownership of our decisions. Because once we go say that, we go back into the same situation, and then of course we can make next decision more appropriately. Because if our decision was made deliberately just out of love, then we can go back and feel that love again and see that do we really still want to continue with this or not. Or if that decision was just completely based or for only for other people's love, not with the not included, the self love was not included, then we have to revise that and say that okay, yes, okay, I made that decision, it was out of love, I own that, but now I'm going to revise it, I'm going to update it, and I'm going to include myself into this. And self love, self respect is and self compassion is going to be the primary factor of all these decisions now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Me first, me first, me first. Yeah,
No, that
yeah,
makes sense. Sorry, if I felt quiet, it's because I'm processing what you're saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, very cool, very
So,
cool.
makes a lot of sense though. I was thinking as you were talking about as you were saying that, Bina, and it's so easy to not look at the fact that, you know, the things that I have done were because I genuinely love and not because I'm doing it to gain somebody else's.
Yes.
For me, I fell out of that. I fell out of that thought process of, well, I'm doing this because I love the person, or because it's out of pure love, as well as, you know, um it's also time for, you know, for me to further grow and change and move on. Um and move a little bit further away, so it's easier for me to zoom out as to what
Yeah.
all about that certain, you know, place or what have you had affected me so much. And, you know, because it's so hard when you're in that same, you know, I guess place that, like, say for instance, moving out of Nebraska. For me, I moved
Mhm.
from one state to another, and I think what really has helped me recently is something I did also. I verbally, you know, stated it out loud instead of keeping it in my mind, to share that um I still have like I still have things that greatly affected me. I'm not going to say traumatized me, but I'm going to say they greatly affected me at the decisions of other people based on, you know, for my life, for what happens with me. And um there's some still there there's an understanding, but there's also not enough of an understanding, and I need to gain more of an understanding as well. But there's some things that I'm having a harder time understanding as to why it's still a thing, because it's affecting, like, you know, say my ability to get off of the registry, things like that. And it's like, okay, so it's just like, maybe I'm not asking the right questions to them. Maybe I need to think about my questions a little bit with more deliberateness as to the answers I guess I
There
want.
you go. There you go. Deliberateness, deliberateness, deliberateness. It's a
That's kind of
powerful,
like,
powerful factor.
because I'm like, why I keep asking all these questions as to like what do I need to do? Well, instead of asking that, I need to figure out a different question or questions to ask them, and to get the exact answer that, like, I'm looking for. Not the exact answer, but the answer I'm looking for, as to um because apparently they're not understanding where I'm coming from when I say, what else do you need from me in order for this to happen? Because I just keep getting nothing. I don't get a response. So it's like, what? Well, okay, I'm a little confused as to why that's a hard thing to understand, but some people it is, especially if they're not living their life in a deliberate way, or doing things or doing their job deliberately. They're just doing it to do it. So I think that is
Yes.
the route to
The,
go.
the part of learning and growing is that we sometimes not only outgrown people in our life, but we also outgrow our own decisions, our
Yes.
choices.
Yes.
Well, I know exactly. Like for the longest time, I blamed solely my ex on why I lost CJ. But in reality, I have my own responsibility in that too. There's a lot of there was at first a lot of I should have, and not enough
Yeah.
of what what else could I do to change that? Because yeah, I mean, I could have, should have, would have, but didn't. So that's where, like, it's basically saying, in other words, that's all, that's null and void.
Yeah. Yeah.
What am
Yeah.
I, what all has entailed with that, which was I didn't take care of my mental health. I didn't take care of I was still in active addiction. I did not take care of my trauma. I did not work through
Yeah.
anything. I wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything deliberately. I
Yeah.
was floating through
Yeah.
life. I
Yeah.
was in this complete bubble of unawareness of things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't patient. I wasn't using pacing. I was not using forbearance. I was not any of that. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I get it now. There's a lot more to it than they should have just taken the kids and left. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more to it. And I'm like, well, damn. I'm finding more and more. So light bulb's coming on. It's just it's taken a little refresher to get all that to
Yeah.
start coming on.
This is life. This is life. I don't know, it is not relevant, but right now in my country, the political situation is so amazingly interesting and chaotic and all that. So there was a ruling party just few months back, it's most popular one, everybody was crazy about. People were like really die-hard fans and members, and suddenly they are just like it's an autumn season. They all are leaving the party and saying that, okay, we have made a wrong decision because the party was involved into some illegal activities. Okay, let's put it that way. But just in few hours, those people, like, they are literally visibly changed. And one of the reporters were asking that, okay, what actually happened, why this transformation immediately? And of course, one of the parliamentarian, and she says that, you know what, the weather is so hot right now in Pakistan, it's like amazingly hot anyway. And the prison they were in, for the trial purpose, uh, was in the most like, okay, really hot area. And they had to spend some time there. These were the people who never get out of air conditioned roomed, comfortable cars, luxury cars, and all these things. So they never had that. And she says that was unbearable for me. And I realized that what I have done and what I might get involved into if I will continue this, doing this and keep uh, just stay connected with this party. Okay, could be other reasons also. But what I was thinking, that when we are in that situation, like really in the boiling water, the decisions we make at that time, they are appropriate decisions always.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, later on when we are comfortable again, we realize that, oh, if I would just hold a bit, that maybe something will change. But actually not. Because in those situations, yes, overly dramatic, but we realize and we understand our true potential, our ability to really stay till then, like we really understand the point where we are going to break, and what is important in our life. So
That sounds like being in a relationship with a
sometimes
narcissist.
sometimes when you made a decision and you realize like, okay, oh yes, what I did, but it comes out really nice because you made that decision, you were aware, and you made that decision and you save him from all those fluctuations of moods and situations and everything in life. You made a decision, even it was just a pressure of a situation and circumstances. The decision comes out really nice for him and for you because you saved him. And now you can feel proud of yourself that you were at least aware enough that, okay, I'm not in this situation right now.
Yes. Um, yeah, and I think like, I don't see what had happened as a I used to see what had happened was as a bad thing, like, as something that like,
Always
I got
more.
down on
Always
myself.
more.
Yes, I got down on myself really hard for it. Did a lot of self-blaming, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. Um, but the more I thought about it, the more, and after doing, talking with Sil and, of course, Cher and everybody else too, the more I realized that would, in the sense, that was us actually, because I was still, at that time, I was still not in the appropriate mentality or the appropriate situations in my life. I was still very much so in my active addiction. Um, and what had happened was, I guess unintentionally, but like in my, I guess, my subconscious kicked in at that point in time. And yeah,
Yes.
I did save him from myself when that's who I should have been saving him from. Um, because that meant that he no longer had to deal with the risky situations, not knowing where he was going to be from one moment to the next, not knowing what idiot I was going to end up being with at that point in time. um, but and how he was going to be treated, type of thing. And he ended up with my mom and dad. Of course, he's dealt with his fair share of not so fun situations for him that really
Yeah.
affected him negatively. Um, but I guess like I did during my active addiction and stuff like that, I did blame Cher a lot for keeping him from me. But she did it for the better of him. And reason
Yeah.
being is because like she cut off contact a lot, and that's because it was um because I wasn't healthy enough for him. Like I wasn't in a healthy mentality. Like I wasn't appropriate. I was not talking to him in an appropriate manner. It wasn't like whenever he had stayed a night at my house, like we'd stay up until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Um, and we'd have meltdowns when he'd go back to grandma's. So that, like, I do see now, you know, um, especially since I've been clean, that, there's a reason for everything. And I also see now too the importance of why I had to take a break from him and really insist on this break and insist on it wasn't just him for me or me for him from him. It's both. It was a both sides
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
reason being is because we both have things that is better is easier to zoom out on if we are taking that break than it is if we weren't.
Yeah.
Um, because it is so easy for both of us to manipulate each other and for both of us to be inappropriate when it comes to like triggering and things like that when we're talking with each other when we're both not where we are, where the timing is right at that moment in time, basically. um
Yes.
we still have more work to do. So with that being said, I've become, it's gotten easier to not talk to him, to block him on things that he tries to pop up on with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um Does it still make it something that I want to do? Absolutely not. It's not something I want to do, but it's something that's vital. It's crucial that we do it. Just because I don't want to do it doesn't mean that it's not a necessity or crucial at this point in time. For both of our benefits, for our own healing, our own, because this way also I'm able to see him for what he's doing, to change, to do different, to help himself, and for seeing him for himself and not seeing him for Matt. And so that trauma isn't associated as much.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh.
So I'm able to see CJ for who CJ is, instead of, and hearing about what he's improving on, instead of seeing him as the person that raped me to conceive him.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly. You're seeing the moreness, not the
of him.
lessness.
Yes.
This is a profound shift in attitude and mindset. Yes.
Yes. Now, what I am working on right now is how other people are perceiving my relationship with him.
That's their problem, not yours.
Exactly.
Well, it becomes my problem when they are pretending that I don't have rights to him.
Yeah. Well, still, whatever they're doing, tell them, look, thank you for your care, but it's
none of your
it's
business.
taken care
They
of.
have control over that stuff, though. Whether or not they come to me, whether or not he comes to me. And that's the part that I'm working on not being so angry with, because the state of Nebraska irritates me. That's where I'm struggling with right now, is the fact that they do have control whether or not he comes back to me. And I'm like, oh, hell no, you are not doing this. Just because, and that's the thing is too, is like, I gotta remember I have a voice in this, because, and I'm not as powerless as I think I am when it comes to the state, because they did not hear or listen to, they didn't capital H here and they didn't capital L listen to the fact that the reason that there are situations that led up to those 3 times that I've gotten in massive amount of trouble for assault against a male. And they were all men, and there was 3 different times where I had 3 major charges for it. And there were circumstances that led up to those times that were not ideal, because I put myself in those circumstances, not anybody else but me. And that was something that I had a hard time understanding, is how the hell, when Sil brought that up to me, my first initial reaction was, how the hell is that even a thing? How did I put myself in those situations? I didn't ask for that to happen. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh my Lord. Like, because I was kind of like mentally like kind of sticking my tongue out at you still at the beginning when you said that. Cause I'm like, really? Really? That is no. And so, but I think I knew deep down that it was me that put myself in those
You're not alone in
situations.
this situation, because mostly it happens with me. Like, seriously? So this is really, I was not getting it. So many times in the beginning, it was happening that things doesn't make any sense. At least it doesn't seems legitimate, or like, okay, oh, applicable in my situation. No, I'm living in a different world. Okay, this thing, okay, it's utopian thinking. A lot of things, like how this could be even possible. How can I be? And the biggest thing, like really a shock, was like, okay, I'm responsible. We do like, okay, yes, we say that, okay, yes, everything is like, but we really don't take the ownership of the situation completely, and especially decisions we have made in the past, and then they come out in a completely different way. It's really, really difficult to take the complete ownership of those decisions, because it seems like we are going to just punish ourselves, like, oh my God, so whatever nonsense is happening in my life, it's because of me. Sorry, no way, there are so many people involved into that. I was not aware. But when we gradually just continue in this process, that's why consistency, regularity is a big thing in the process of learning and growing. Once you just start that, no matter what is happening, just keep moving, and time will come. At least I can say with the surety that with my experience, the time will come when everything will fall in place.
Oh yeah.
everything,
Oh yeah.
ever,
Persistence is the key.
unimaginably.
Persistence is the
They
key.
will. Yes. One thing, just wanna edit. Okay, just wanna add something to you. What you were saying when you were saying that. Okay, I saved him or CJ from myself. It was just an aspect of yourself, Jessica, not
Yeah.
entirety of you. So
Of myself
it is.
of the
Yeah.
then.
Yes, it was just an aspect.
That's
Yes.
yes. It was the me of then, not the me of now.
Yes.
Exactly.
But even
Exactly.
then, it was just one
Exactly.
aspect. I would say that just keep remind yourself you were more than that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
those
yeah, I
things were
now know that.
prominent, but you were more than that, always.
When I chose to be in relationships with narcissists, like I saw the red flags. I chose to ignore them. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's where, you know, and that's like and I saw the red flags in a lot of people that I integrated myself with, and I chose to ignore those. Um, and because it was so much easier to just, at the time I thought it was so much easier anyways to
Yeah. That's
uh
the key
to
point.
be
That's the key
completely
point. Yeah.
to be completely like ignorant to all of it, but in reality it was not easier.
Exactly. And that's
um
an important point to remember,
Anything's so
that you
much easier.
believed it would be easier. If you can understand how you came to believe that, this was going to change your life
I
profoundly.
watched my mom. That's how I came to believe it. But
Right. Right.
see, here's the thing is that I believed that what my mom was doing because I held her at such a high standard and on a pedestal for so
Yeah.
long. And
Yeah.
I didn't see her for the human being that she is. I saw her as like this goddess, like this a super
Yes.
person, like superhero for
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And yes, she is a goddess, but she is not a superhero, and she is human, and she
Yeah.
does have
Exactly.
make mistakes, and she
Exactly.
does, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? But
Absolutely.
I never saw
Yeah.
that. I never
Yeah.
saw it that way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always saw it
Yeah.
as my mom is doing the best she can for what
Yeah.
she has.
Yeah. No
Um,
discernment, in other words.
there
No
was none.
discernment. Yeah.
And so, and I believed that the way she did things was the right way.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that was the me of now thinking. Okay, or me of then
Yeah.
thinking. The me of now
Yeah.
thinking is, you know what? Just like she did, I fell into the belief systems of our generations. And
Exactly. Exactly.
I I fell into that. I wasn't a victim. I was not any of that. I just was just unaware through my own awareness and my own discernment and my unknown misunderstandings. I um I really just I fell right into that path, and I
Right.
know now that yes, there are still belief systems that are popping up recently that I ignored, that I didn't really think were an issue
There
because it
you
never
go.
really crossed my mind. And now I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
not appropriate. Like
Exactly. Exactly. And
that
keep asking yourself, what can I replace this with? Every time you become aware of something in the past, say, what am I replacing it with?
yeah, that will also help me see what I
Yeah.
am doing
Right. Oh, hugely, hugely,
instead of seeing what I'm
hugely.
not doing.
Exactly. 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 What am I doing? What am I doing? In other words, what am I replacing? What's my replacement? What's my
Creating a better
replacement?
future for myself.
Exactly.
Correct.
But what's my replacement that I am busy applying, not just putting it in there, but applying, practicing.
This
Yes.
week was self-care. That's what I was applying.
There you go.
And
See, what
energy
am I doing?
management and
What
choosing what I you want to engage with in social media. And if there's a day where I just like, nope, I don't
right,
want to be on
right,
social media, so I
right.
don't.
Exactly.
And I
So
read.
that social media abstracted. You were practicing deliberate choice.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. So see, when you say that zoom out, that overview perspective, makes all the difference. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. It's
You mentioned
unbelievably
something
powerful.
about narcissists. That okay.
Oh yeah. So, so what you were saying earlier, it reminded me of being in a relationship with a narcissist because so when I was in a relationship with a narcissist, I even though like I've had plenty of while during that relationship, even though I had plenty of chances to leave, I never did because I felt as though that they could change. Things were going to change. Things were going to get better. I believed them when they said that they would do different, they would do better, they would, all that things.
Mhm.
And it never happened. Well, then I'd
Mm.
get out, with help of, well, the first one was with help of, my mom and dad, Sharon, Larry. They they took me out of that situation and they placed me, of course, in a psych ward, but that was the only secure place they could put me that he couldn't get to me. Then the second one, I stayed in that relationship for 5 years because that convinced me my ex and his mom convinced me to give my ex's mom guardianship of my son because um they really played hard on my vulnerability, my mental thinking after I had him.
Mhm.
And so they really caused me to be very untrusting of my mom, or share, and caused me to, um just not there's a lot of issues that I believed that things that they were saying. Um,
Mm.
and you know, all of which were not true.
Mm.
And so I finally got out of that relationship, but they used my son against me. My son was used as a weapon.
Mm.
They knew that he is my or he was my downfall. He's no longer my downfall, and reason being is because
Mhm.
I no longer depend on him like that.
Mhm.
I did
Back.
for a long time.
Yes.
But that's because like that was the only part of me that was out in this world, you know. Um
Mm.
and so I was very protective of him and things like that, and they knew that, and if I left my ex, then they would take my son. So, because legally they were allowed to, since my ex's mom had guardianship of my son, and I would be considered kidnapping if I took my son with me. Which is stupid. But anyways, long story short, I left that situation finally on my own accord, and dealt with the repercussions. Finally got my son back, but I was in another narcissistic abusive relationship. I ended up
Mm.
catching a charge because he went after the children while high. We were both high and he was also drunk. And he went after my son and the other three kids, or three boys. And that's when I lost it. I blacked out and I held a knife up to him and threatened him to kill him with a knife in front of the kids, um because I let my own traumas affect me at that point in time. And I wasn't being deliberate with my actions.
Yeah.
It was just a random, literally a quick reaction. um I stayed in that relationship because I felt that I could, that things would change, things would get better, that we would grow together, we would do better together, things like that. And I stayed with him for like another year. And during that entire year and a half, during that entire time, he was beating the crap out of me on a regular basis. Like,
Mm.
and I would always tell people that, oh well, I fell or I did this, or me and my clumsy
Like
self.
excuses for it.
I always made excuses for him. That
Mm.
that he didn't mean to do it. That it was something that happened, and I felt,
Yeah.
because I felt like I owed him, because I
Yeah.
got his kids
Yeah.
taken away. He used that part of me that
That's
that
terrible. That's terrible. That's amazing.
he
Typical.
made me lose
Typical.
my kids, but I
Yeah.
did the kids a favor, I think, and honestly, because they're no
Oh
longer with
yeah. Oh,
him.
you did them a massive favor. Absolutely.
they're no
Absolutely.
longer getting abused by him,
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
son is doing better. I mean, look at how he is now. Like, we're finding out things about him that
Oh
help
yeah.
us better communicate with him and help us, um learn how to appropriately uh have an appropriate connection with him,
Yeah.
and to be able to get through to him. Now, I think that, like, I do listen to what Chair does and says, and I have been taking essentially mental notes, um, and learning along the way, um, essentially what is going to be appropriate when when we start to talk again, and um understand that now the bringing of the past wasn't what he needed. He didn't need me to apologize anymore for it. What he needed was to see more change. And that was
Yeah.
also by not bringing up the past, not bringing up those things, and not explaining to him what I'm doing differently, but just do it and show it and
Yeah.
be direct with him instead of being afraid of what I followed Q with Cher when, when she was afraid of what society would think when we were being very direct, when it about being direct with him about things. But in his mind, that's how it has to be. You have to do short, direct answers with him in a lot of ways, because you can't sugarcoat with him. You can't go around the bush with him. You can't any of that. He's gonna sniff that out faster than you can blink. And I always knew that, but I was always told, don't do that with him. He's too young to understand. And it's like, yeah, there's things that he doesn't need to know yet. Like, he doesn't need to know that he was conceived from rape. He doesn't need to
Yeah.
know that I didn't initially want him. He doesn't need to know that, any of that stuff. What he does need to know is
Yeah.
that he's got a mom that loves him, and I'm working to make myself a better person for me and for my life. And by doing that, I'm able to help also, um be a part of the betterment of his life, to basically a happier life for him, because I'm learning.
There you go. There you go.
um but that's where, like, the whole thing with, like, relationship and a narcissist, like, it's that always constantly, like, the opposite person, the receiving end of that narcissistic relationship, is that feeling an obligation. It's that, um feeling that belief system that things will get better, things will be different, things will always it will something's going to change, you know, and reality, it doesn't. It's not always going to be better. It's not always going to be different. It's not always going to be happier. Um yes, you may get lucky, and somebody has those traits, but not be an actual narcissistic. We all have traits. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say this out loud. We all have narcissistic traits.
Yep.
It
Yep.
has
Um,
to
Yep.
be. It has to be a bit
yep.
Oh
of.
yeah. Oh yeah. Otherwise we wouldn't do anything. We'd just
Hmm.
Exactly.
stagnate. Yeah.
And this narcissistic thing that okay, like really um, mostly a person is dominated by like okay, this is the dominant and the prominent aspect of their personality. We like them, okay, people who just fall into that relationship because subconsciously we like to love ourselves too. When we see someone that okay who is like really just thinking about themselves, we really want to be like that. That's why we like them. And the other thing is, which of course it is just my thinking, that this the idea that any relationship based on in the idea of that okay, I'm going to just this is the person with love and care, with respect, I'm going to change him or her. This is an ongoing thing because relationship based on any condition is not going to work because the moment it resolves, the relationship will end, fall apart immediately because this
Yeah.
was based on that condition that I'm going to work on you and you are going to receive and you are going to change. When he or she is going to change, then that person will no more be in that relationship and I
Yeah.
will have no job to do anymore. So it's a contract. Okay, once it will done. So because we don't want to end it, that's why nobody change. We keep doing our thing and they keep insisting on the same thing, and we're stuck in that relationship because the idea,
Yes.
this whole relationship was based on that contract that you are the job and I'm going to do that. So this is how things are going to be. This is very interesting, but this is what we choose. And when Sil
And-
says that, okay, mostly people don't marry to the person, they marry to idea.
Right.
This is exactly right. That is
Yes.
what he says. That it's absolutely makes sense to me because this is what we do. Oh, I
Goes hand
like
in
that
hand with that
person's look.
codependency.
How these looks are going to just satisfy me? Like, okay, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe years, and after that,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Go and look at
Well,
the.
and
Go and
that's
look.
the thing is
Right.
it goes hand in hand with that codependency too, because like when you
Exactly.
are, when you grow up being a caretaker of people in your family, then you're like, oh well, I need another job. I need somebody else to take care of. And then you start focusing on all of their wrong aspects. That makes them even more angry. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you're like, oh well, now you're angry. Let's work on why you're angry. And then
Yeah.
it becomes a job, like you said. And either way it doesn't work out, and it's just one of those things that, to be honest with you, the difference between a person with narcissistic traits and a person who is narcissistic is a person who's narcissistic is delusional.
Yes.
Yes.
They
Yes.
have a very deep rooted delusion of their
Yep.
reality. It's
Exactly.
Yep.
very
Yep.
distorted.
Yep. They're crazy.
And
That's it. They're just flat out crazy. Absolutely.
yeah,
But our
and
ego also just want to feel
the
good about ourselves
grandiose,
that okay,
yes.
yes, I'm going to fix it with love and
Yes.
I'm going to
There's
Yeah,
fix
that.
but you
Yeah.
can't. And that's the thing is that I had to learn that the hard way, but it's okay. At least I
Uh,
learned it.
That's
exactly.
what it
You
was.
learned it. That's what counts. You learned it.
And that's
Yeah.
why I like also with my current relationship. It's you know,
Yeah.
I don't do things now with the intent to fix her.
Good.
I don't do
Perfect.
things with the intent to make things better for her, to make her happier. I do things with the intent to give the tools to show that it is possible, to share what I learned. And in my own experience, and I'm learning to state that in my own experience, or this has been my experience, instead of telling people what it is, I am sharing my own experience. And by stating this is my own experience. And the reason being is because what I go through and how I deal with things isn't the exact same way. And that's where my control issue comes in. And I've learned to also recognize when I'm having those issues with control. Because when I feel like when I let go of control of myself, then I try to control everything else around me. So
Yes.
I learned that and I'm like, oh yeah, that was my own controlling mentality at
Yes.
that point in time. Um and I can't control things. I can only control myself. I can't control how other people do things. Um Even though I want to, because I want to make it so it's their life is better and smoother for them, but I can't. They can only do that. And I'm learning that that's where I expend most of my energy is when I'm trying to fix and control other people. And that's my own
Yes.
codependency. And that's,
Well,
let
also,
go of.
if you are not connected to your own self-worth, fixing others makes you feel valuable and
Yes.
worthy. So it becomes a
Yes.
substitute for that. Yes.
That's why we like
Sorry.
narcissists.
I
Yeah.
had to, trust that was a straight up admittance right there. Like I was like, yes.
Yes. Yes. That's a good note to end on. Just one quick fun point here. When it comes to relationships or people we're going to marry, right? We don't marry the person, we marry the idea. But if you're in doubt, go and meet their parents and ask yourself, do I want to marry the parents?
Oh heck
Because
yeah.
that's what the
Well, I
person's
mean,
going to turn into, most likely.
yeah. And I know, and I'm
And that
very much
puts you
so
off in
aware
a
and
hurry.
observant of her family too. And
Yeah,
that's the thing is that like, yeah, she's very much so like her dad. And not so much
yeah.
like her mom,
Oh,
but it's a lot like her dad. And her dad is an amazing person.
Oh, there you go.
And
well, that's good.
just yes, and I love the fact that, you know, her family's they took me by surprise because of course so and you guys know like our family aren't huggers. We're not big like, oh, let's hug, you know. And her
Yeah.
family's like, oh, let's hug. And I at first it was a little awkward for me, but I'm getting kind of used to the whole hugging thing here now because everybody hugs here.
Wow, interesting.
I'm like, okay, I don't know you, but let's okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I don't know.
You will
I
you will get pro in hugging soon.
yeah.
There you
I
go.
just
Well,
it's
it'll
so
help your
weird.
tolerance, if nothing else. Right?
Right. But at least they ask for a hug. They don't just automatically
Oh,
give you one, which is a good
yeah,
thing. I appreciate that. That is something I definitely can appreciate is the
yeah,
fact that they
yeah,
do ask.
yeah,
They don't
yeah.
impose.
In
Good.
my culture, it's an open thing. In my culture, it's an
Yeah,
open thing. You
Yep.
are going to meet some. Okay, of course, it's not a mixed culture, so of course, all your aunties and cousins and friends they are just going to hug you, and then of course, it's like duh for them. Of course, I am also a bit picky into that because I feel drained when I don't feel that energy right. So I
yeah,
do avoid that,
yeah,
but. So I learned some techniques actually before going out. Otherwise, it was like, okay, I attend just one wedding reception and I'm completely knocked off for 3 days. Can't do anything. I feel
yeah,
so used to feel so drained out after that. But this now I just learned some more things about that, and now it's okay. But this is the culture here because they just want to show you the love. This is
Yep.
how it is. Everybody, if you meet 100 people, they are going to hug you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Quite an exercise. Okay.
Wow.
All
Appropriateness,
right.
appropriateness, appropriateness.
Oh
So
Yes.
yes.
ask
Oh yeah.
yourself in all of these things,
What am I
what,
doing?
yes,
Yes.
what am I doing about it? What am I applying? What am I practicing? What am I replacing? What am I doing?
Yes.
Yes.
What am I doing? What am I doing?
And
I
just
love it.
just one thing, Jessica, they are such an amazing because you are aware, of course. You don't just need some few things. Of course, we all need that.
Right.
Perspective shifting is a big power, but sometimes even just the same perspective, we just need to hear someone from someone else, from some external source. Kind of validation, you say that, but it is what it is anyway. But just the persistence, just keep doing is the real key. I have
Yes.
seen so many times in my life when I was about to
Yeah,
give up and still pulled me back. Someone else just pushed me, or sometimes my own self, like, okay, Veena, your ego is coming again. Just go back and okay, just
yeah,
don't follow it. So going back, it will happen. Mostly, it does happen with everyone. That okay, they like worldview falling apart and all that, worldview collapse. It happens because I used to feel at least few things were in my life. Okay, mostly it was, but in everyone's life, there must be something they feel good about it. And
Hmm.
when
yeah,
that one thing collapsed big time, and you feel like, really, seriously, now I have nothing. Why I put myself into this situation where now I actually have nothing to feel good about myself. Like
Yeah.
you just turned away everything. This is what happened with me. I was feeling good about my life. I was feeling good about my things, and when these things happened, and I was like, oh my god, it's so intense, it's so bad, it's so rude, and I'm not going to continue. This is how I was feeling. But then I came up, of course, I use this analogy for myself. Then acrobats in the circus, when they are on a swing, there is a time when they have to actually leave the one they are on to grab the other one. And for the moment, there is a time when they are actually just in the air, nothing
Hmm.
under their feet and nothing in their hand. This is the void we all have to go through to be something else, someone else, or something new, or
yeah,
just be ourselves. We have to
yeah,
give up the old thing, the old grounds, the old swing we are on, to grab the new one. And in between, that time is not fun. Not fun at all.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's that putting on the new skin. You know, have to take the old skin off to put on a new one, and well, then all your nerves are exposed and not fun.
Absolutely.
No.
Not fun, not fun, but
No, it's
but it is
not.
needed. It is needed.
And yes, and I do definitely understand that. And I
Yeah.
appreciate both of you today. It really is there's a lot of really great reminders in there in our conversation. So
Okay, key point. If you watch this video again, look at your mood and everything at the start and at the end, and look at the difference. Yeah, big difference. So, you know, what we do is very powerful, and the immersion is very powerful. So also be aware that from 12 to 2 your time, you know, we're doing the lives during the week, and then on Sundays it's 2 hours earlier, it's 10 to 12. So come to those. It's more immersion. It's more immersion. You know, just sharing,
yes.
listening. Even if you're busy doing something, you know, get a headset if you can, that you can
Yeah, I
walk
got
around with.
head.
Okay, you know, and then you walk around, and whatever you're doing, that's it. You can listen in, you know, and
Oh,
join.
yes.
So
And it will
yeah,
be
this will be
fun to
very
have
cool.
you, of course, on Zoom.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Or
All
even if you
right.
can't be on Zoom, you know, just like sure, sometimes she just comes and listens. So very
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I'm working on being okay with not being able to talk to her because it does set CJ off sometimes. So
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
we can
There
talk
you
via
go.
text, which is fine. There's times I'm like, I just love to hear my mom's voice, but at the same time, I know that it affects CJ, and I love him, and I don't want to
Yeah.
affect him that way because he's making so much, like, such good progress right now. And I don't want that to get erased just because he hears that she's
Yeah.
talking to me. So, sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do for the betterment of somebody else because you
Exactly.
know it's going to help more than just one person.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, you know, and that's not giving
And
up
we are doing
something.
that.
It's not giving up a part of me. It's just giving up something that I
Yeah.
want to do. But it's not affecting me in the way I live my life. So
Yeah.
that's something that like I had to remind myself. It's not affecting the way I live my life. It's not affecting, you know, my relationship with my mom. It's
Yeah.
not affecting my relationship with anybody else. It's just doing what is best for everybody else in that moment in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very important.
So,
Very, very, very important. Very
all right,
important.
guys. Well,
Okay.
Most exciting. All right. So I look forward to wherever you want to continue start, to seeing repeat backs, takeaways, tasks and exercises, etc. next time. Yeah.
sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
Very cool.
Bye for
And
now.
posts. And posts. And posts.
Yes, and those.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye, Jessica. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Too marvelous. Too marvelous. All right, Bina, you stay exactly there where you at. Don't go away, please. I'm just gonna leave and come back.
Okay.